Welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network, coming to you from the TeacherCast studios since 2011. Join us each week as we bring you the latest educational news, edtech updates, and hottest interviews with today's most influential leaders in education. And now, for your host, Jeff Bradbury.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury, and welcome to episode 1 of the Jeff Bradbury Show. I am so thrilled that you have decided to make TeacherCast your home for professional development. Welcome to the show. Welcome to 2020. Now, if you had a chance to check out the trailer, you know that this show is designed for you, the educator who is also a content creator. Perhaps you're somebody that has a podcast. Perhaps you have a blog. Maybe you're into public speaking and you have that thirst for getting your brand out there. My friends, this is the show for you. We're going to be coming to you every single week, probably on Wednesdays, and we're going to be featuring some great educators who are out there building their own brands and giving you guys the skills and the knowledge to help you take your content to that next level. I hope you have a moment to check us out each and every single week. You can, of course, find us over on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and wherever podcasts are found. All of the content for our show is going to be found over on buildyouredubrand.com, where we're sitting here and we're putting together an amazing opportunity for you to grow your brand in 2020. Oh my goodness. I can't believe that we just changed things over. I just got the EDU triplets ready to say 2019, and now they're into saying 2020. Guys, we have a great show for you today. Today we're going to be talking all about personal branding and why you should have a brand for yourself. Should educators even be thought about as brands? And we're going to share with you guys several great reasons why a personal brand is something you should be thinking about this year for your content. But first, I want to introduce you guys to a brand new feature of the show. We have just launched a brand new TeacherCast 90-day email marketing challenge. Now, again, maybe you're a blogger, a podcaster, you've got a website, you're an author, you're a consultant. You are in that space where you're trying to grow your brand, put an audience together, figure out how to take subscribers, move them into customers, maybe bring them into paid clients. Again, this is that podcast for you, and we have just launched with this podcast our 90-day email marketing challenge. Now, what is our email marketing challenge? First of all, it is totally free. It is our little way to say thank you to you guys for not only keeping TeacherCast in your thoughts over the last 8+ years, helping me grow my brand, but also being able to put everything that you want down on paper, on your digital blogs, on your websites. We have a great platform for you. It actually is a 90-day challenge, comes into 2 parts. I want you guys to head on over to teachercast.net and click on the little button. Basically, the way we put this together is it is in 2 parts. Like I said, you've got a 14-day online course that tells you everything about email marketing, web design, SEO, how to choose the right email platform, and then we're here to hold your hand for the next 2.5 months. We've got beginner tracks, intermediate tracks, advanced tracks. I am so excited because at the recording here, we've got almost 30 people that have signed up today, January. What are we at? January 1st. We have 30 people so far that have signed up, and I haven't even been promoting it yet. This is actually the first time we're mentioning it on our show. But the whole concept of the 90-day challenge came about when a bunch of educational podcasters and I were talking about ways to motivate ourselves, and we thought maybe a 30-day challenge. We can, Vox each other, we can email each other, and then somebody said, well, 30 days is great, but to really deep dive into some of these topics, 90 days would be better. So I kind of got to thinking, what could we do? And I put together this 90-day email marketing challenge. Like I said, completely free, and it teaches you everything that you need to know about doing this. You're going to learn how to find your target audience, how to create an avatar, the importance of making a great looking website, how to grow a successful social media strategy, how to create branded professional slide decks for your conferences, and how to fight that war on getting your emails into other people's inboxes, and opened. There's a lot of stuff that we're working on right here, and I am so excited to have, like I said, almost 30 people sign up already, and I would love to invite you guys to check it out over on buildyouredubrand.com. There's plenty of links over there. You can sign up on the form, and you guys will start receiving our 90-day challenge, and you will be able to work with me one-on-one to get your brand moving in the right direction. I hope to see you guys on the challenge. I am excited about it. And again, I hope you guys take a moment to sign up for the TeacherCast 90-day email marketing challenge. Now, if you're sitting here listening to this, you probably have a brand, or you're thinking about a brand. Maybe you have a podcast. Let's talk a little bit about this, right? Because I've been doing TeacherCast now for 8.5 years. I've been podcasting for over 9 years. I never created this network as a network. I started it off by creating a single show, and then that grew. I had people asking if they can guest blog. I moved over to WordPress. I built out a system, and it just started to get bigger. I started getting on, edtech companies and great educators, and that turned into client work, and then that turned into travel and speaking and keynoting and all these things, and it suddenly turned into the TeacherCast brand. It wasn't actually something I created or something I started out to create, I will say. But I wanted to talk today about 3 reasons why you might want to take 2020 and start your own personal and professional EDU brand. Now, there's 3 things we're going to talk about today. Number 1, using your brand to support your family. Number 2, we're going to use your brand to support your students. And number 3, and I think this is the most important one for educators, using your brand to support your passions. Now, if this is you and you're raising your hand, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Share this podcast with your friends. I would love to have you be a supporter of this show on TeacherCast. So let's talk a little bit about this. 3 reasons to start your own personal brand. And I always want to start with supporting your family by building your online digital portfolio, your website, your online presence. It has the opportunity to expand your reach, to support those people that you love the most, right? There's a lot of people that get into it to grow a Twitter following, to sell a book. But really, when we're looking at this, it's that opportunity to reach out and have those networking opportunities, have those relationships with not only great teachers, but with great companies. You never know where these things land. I've had the fortune to have amazing relationships. Guests on the show turn into business conversations, turn into paid clients. That has helped out my family. That has helped pay off bills. That has helped pay off mortgage payments. That has helped put food on the table. That has helped everything that you've ever heard from me around the EDU triplets and the story of how they came to be. I will never forget getting a box in the mail, and it is our good friends at TechSmith offering us baby rattles and onesies and stuff like that when the kids were born, I should say. There's a lot of great reasons why your brand is out there to support your family. My story, as you know, is well known out there. You can watch the TED Talk over on jeffreybradbury.com. By building TeacherCast, I actually, by accident, created this brand, this thing, this connection, this PLN, if you will, so that way when I needed help with my family, the educational community was there to support me. It was amazing. I want the same thing for you. I love going up to different vendor booths and talking to them, saying how you're doing. And instead of them saying, how is Jeff? They say, how are the EDU triplets? How's your wife? How's the family? Because they know the brand. They know the story. We've been on calls together. We've been on conferences together. It is an amazing thing when you get a chance to go to these different conferences and they ask you things. And you know what? Getting a few extra t-shirts to bring back to the kids is not a bad thing. I know every now and then I see my kids running around with Remind shirts and Pika Pack shirts and Microsoft and Google shirts. Having a few extra swag things to bring back to the kids is not a bad idea. So if we're looking at growing our brand, I always put my family first. I always figure out what is the best move for me to support my kids, to support my family, to support this passion that I have for sharing the world. What's yours? What kind of things can you do to use your brand, to use your podcast, to use your blog, to use your book, to use your public speaking? to support your family. Many people get into this and say, I've created a podcast. How do I make money? Not always the case. I've been doing this for 9 years, and trust me, this is definitely the long game. We don't play the short game here on TeacherCast. We look at this and say, what can we do today to set us up for the future? And that is why it was important for me, A, to start a show like this, and B, to share these different journeys with you guys. So, number one, why would you want to start a brand? Supporting your family. The number two thing is to support our students. Now, I have a love-hate concept with this whole concept of ambassadors. I think that we all should be taking a step back and looking at how ambassador programs work. I'm not going to talk about that here, but I do find there's a huge success in teachers working with companies, reaching out to companies, evangelizing for companies. And, I get we're government employees. I get we're public people. I get all that stuff. But when somebody says, hey, here's a code to my application, or hey, here's a free robot, why don't you take this back? Or hey, here's a building set that you can bring to your students. Sometimes having these connections to other educators and sometimes having these connections to other edtech companies is helpful, is useful to have this brand. Over the last 9 years, TeacherCast has allowed me to reach out to so many great companies, so many great educators, and be able to supply amazing ideas and lesson plans. Right now, as a broadcasting teacher in a middle school, everything that I'm doing is because of the support that I have from the edtech community, from the Facebook groups, from reaching out on the podcast. By having a brand like this and by having these resources available, I'm able to be better at my job. I'm able to create an amazing set of resources for my students. And if I have a question, I can reach out. For instance, in a few weeks, I'm going to have a great guy named Tom White on the show, and he's going to do a show with us on how to build your brand through video. And we had an amazing conversation a few days ago, and it was all about how he is taking his class to that next level through branding. I got to tell you, after I did that episode with him, I didn't sleep that night. I immediately stayed up and I put together an entire semester's worth full of lesson plans and resources for my kids. And it was a direct result of, because of TeacherCast, because of the Jeff Bradbury podcast, now I have this relationship with these amazing educators, and it's going to directly funnel back in to my teachers. If you're a member of an ambassador program, take advantage of it. Goodness knows they're taking advantage of us, right? They're using us for, trying out new features, sharing on social media, and it's an amazing relationship sometimes. But take advantage of all of these things. Don't be afraid to reach out to these companies and say, hey, I love your product, but my school district can't afford X. Could you give it to us at a discount? Could you give it to us free? If I stood at your booth for an hour, could you do this for my kids? Would you be able to sponsor us on Donors Choose or Pledge Sense or something like that? Figure out how you can use your brand, use your podcast, use your blog to attract amazing resources for your teachers. It's also amazing when you reach out through social media to people like, celebrities and government and all these extra people that you might find on social media and bring them into your classrooms on video conferences. There's a lot of great things that you can do here using your brand to support your students. And I'm going to wrap this up and say the third one here, and this is something I am absolutely in love with. It's sharing your passions with each other. I say this at the end of every single show. Continue sharing your passions with your students. Use your brand, use your reach, use your methods, use everything that you are in love with and put it out there every single day to not only help your students, not only help your family, but help others out there. You'll notice that about 98% of the stuff on TeacherCast is free. It's out there. I do this willingly and have over the last 9 years. And a lot of people look at it and say, why? Why are you not putting a paywall up? And it's just something I'm passionate about. I want to be able to create amazing content for you, whether that be audio, video, PD, online courses, whatever it is. I want to be able to share my passions with you, and I want you guys to take your professional learning to that next level by sharing your passions with everybody else. The only way that I'm able to learn stuff sometimes is by having people on my show, by having people come on and do guest blogs, by having these conversations. I'm able to share my passions with the world, and the world is able to share their passions with me again. So it supports my family, so it supports my students, so it supports the TeacherCast Educational Network, and ultimately circles back around to you. That's why it is important. That is why I decided to do the Jeff Bradbury Show. That's why we decided to put this whole thing together and really create a brand new podcast that wasn't edtech focused, that wasn't Microsoft, Google, Apple focused, that wasn't pedagogy focused. My friends, this podcast is to help you become an amazing content creator and really create something that you can drive home, not only to support your family, your students, and your passions, but also the world. I want to know what you guys think about this show. We've got a lot of great topics coming up. If you look at our content roadmap, next week we're going to be talking about 5 rules for personal and professional branding, things that you need to be thinking about. And then we're going to wrap it up with 10 tips to create your personal brand. And then we're going to do some user questions. February is all about 5 ways to brand. We're going to have conversations with amazing educators, podcasters, bloggers, authors. I've already got shows lined up for 5 ways to build your brand through your podcast, through your video, through your audio, through your logo, through your website. All of that stuff is coming up on February. And don't forget to take our 90-day email marketing challenge. If you're sitting here and you're saying, I don't know how to start an email list. If you're sitting here saying, I have a list, but I don't know what to do with it. Or if you're an experienced content creator and you're saying, I would love a kick in the pants. I'd love to have something that I can do that, will help my brand, and I'm looking for a little bit of support. I'm telling you, go over to buildyouredubrand.com. Check on the links for clicking on the 90-day email marketing challenge. I want to be there holding your hand this entire time. Guys, this is the brand new Jeff Bradbury Show. I am excited to have you guys on here. I hope that you're enjoying it. If you are here looking for our Ask the Tech Coach show, that has now its own personal feed in Apple Podcasts, in Google Podcasts. If you're looking for our TeacherCast podcast show, that now has its own personal feed. Guys, we spent the whole winter break redesigning TeacherCast, figuring out how it works, and we are here in 2020 to help you guys build your EDU brand, one podcast, one blog, one book, one speaking engagement at a time. So that wraps up episode number 1 of the Jeff Bradbury Show. I am so happy that you've decided to make TeacherCast the home for your professional development. And on behalf of everybody here in the TeacherCast Educational Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you to keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions on your platforms.
You've been listening to the TeacherCast Educational Network, hosted by Jeff Bradbury. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter @TeacherCast or online at www.teachercast.net. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.